What up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you Sunday morning, May the 24th. It's Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody is able to do something this weekend. You know, it's probably going to be not what you used to, but still life is starting to return to normal a little bit. And you see that even more with college football. You're going to be back on campus for some workouts and all that good stuff in June. Hopefully that leads to some practices in July and us getting back on track with a full regular season of all 12 games. Even if only 15,000 people can be in the stands at any particular event, that's fine with me. As long as there's college football going on, I'm good. And I know a lot of the rest of you feel that way as well. It doesn't matter that my team sucks. It doesn't matter that we have a felch gargling blunder cunt for a head coach. Coach must go. I'm going to start calling him Coach Must Go. He must go. Will must go. Instead of Will Muschamp. That's his name. His new nickname for me. You know, I was just looking over some stuff yesterday, and I'm finally starting to realize I've come to verbalize my realization. I'm not really just now starting to realize that we are, as of right now, we are just above in the SEC East order. We're just above Vanderbilt. We are in the toilet, sixth place, I feel like, in the SEC East right now. Maybe not as far as in the standings, but as far as programs go, that's where we're at. And it is all pinned upon the shoulders of this idiot. It really is. And they can sit here and tell me, oh, he's only been there 4 years, you know, you got to give him time. He just had one full class that was all his, you know, you hadn't given him enough time. And in his first 3 years there, you know, he won more ball games than Steve Spurrier did. Did you ever write that down? Please. You couldn't hold Steve Spurrier's job. Well, Steve Spurrier left him in a mess. No, actually not. He recruited better when he was, quote unquote, not trying, when he was out of the game, when he was not recruiting, than what we got going on right now. So don't give him that horse shit. He was pulling in good players. Yeah, he let a few good ones go, but there's been a lack of player development there for at least the past 5 years that doesn't have a damn thing to do with him. So let's stop blaming him. You look at the teams in front of us right now that I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about Georgia. And Gamecock fans sit here and tell me, oh, well, we beat them last year. Well, yes, we did. And that just shows what happens when you come out focused. Maybe they're not playing quite their best, but the defense came out focused. The offense, not great. Did what it had to do, though, and won the ball game. That's what can happen. That's what the potential is. That's the ceiling. That's what you can do and what you are capable of accomplishing. How, lightning was caught in a bottle on that day, I will never know, because with this idiot, we don't seem to get up and get focused like we should. But it happened that day. So they're ahead of us. Florida's a team that's ahead of us right now. Yes, the past 2 seasons, we've played them toe-to-toe. We've played them toe-to-toe for 3 quarters both years. The problem was, we forgot just 4 quarters in a football game. 4 quarters, not 3. And lost both times. But yeah, that program's ahead of us right now. Starting to get ahead of us by a significant stretch. Now, I don't fear playing Florida. You know, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, we gotta go to the swamp. It's not like that, but they're still ahead of us. They had a lot of decommitments, a lot of. Remember all the upheaval and all the bullshit that was going on down there last year in the off season, like April and May, with the Chris Steele thing, and then with the what is his name? Who was the one that punched the tow truck driver? LaMichael Pirine? Was that who? Well, all this upheaval and craziness they had going on. They had decommitments, people leaving, and still though, I mean, they end up in a New Year's Six bowl, right? Yeah, they won 10 games for 2 years in a row. So they're ahead of us. They're building a team. They're building for speed, and which is what they built it on back in the day when they were wildly successful. So we'll see where it goes with that. They have a better head coach than we do. Never mind the fact that he hasn't beaten many ranked teams. He hasn't won any championships as far as division championships, but it's coming. I feel like it's coming. I hate to say it, Tennessee is a team that's moved ahead of us. They've moved ahead of us, and that's just deplorable. It's pathetic, and it's sad. And it's not like I personally had anything against Tennessee. I don't really care. That's not my most hated rival by any means. But it's just the fans make it worse. And let me be frank, all the Tennessee fans I've ever met in person, I've never met anybody that was an asshole. I've never met anybody that grinded my gears the wrong way, as Tater fan often does. But it's just the delusion and the silliness with some of them on Facebook, YouTube, social media, just wherever. I mean, we're back. We're going to go 15-0. We're 1998 is going to repeat itself in 2020. All this garbage. I mean, look at our recruiting class. They are horrible. They're horrible to listen to, horrible to deal with. And I want to laugh and shake my head sometimes, but at the same time, you can't blame them for being very optimistic and proud of what they've accomplished. I mean, they're just a couple of years removed from going 0-8 in the SEC. Yeah, you heard me. 0-8. They finished up the regular season though that year with the same record we did last year. They were 4-8. At least they won their 4 non-con games. Doesn't matter that they played St. Mary's Catholic School for girls in a couple of those games. They still went 4-8 in the last year under Butch Jones. So the record books will go down like whether they were the same records we were last year. But Jeremy Pruitt, for what it's worth, he was like the 13th choice for head football coach, and he is making a salary which is about $500,000 a year less than what Will Muschamp is making. Well, Musco is making right now. Why? I mean, he's done just as much as Will Musco. I'm sure that he will get a raise when the time comes. He's 13-12 in 2 years there. He has a bowl win, and the only bowl appearance that they've had under him. Musco is 26-25 at South Carolina. And when you look at that 26-25 record, and you throw in there a win over Charleston Southern by like 60 points, you throw in there a blowout win a couple years ago against Coastal Carolina. I mean, if you take those two out and replace it with something else, he's got a losing record. In my mind, in games that matter, he has a losing record. So they've passed us right now. I mean, they have all the momentum in the world. We have zero momentum. They have it's ranked, I think, wherever you look, either number 2 or number 3 recruiting class right now. Now, those numbers are skewed a bit by the fact that, okay, there's this guy on YouTube, got a popular football channel, Josh Pate. I don't know if you know him. I call him Mr. White Shirt. All he wears is a white Fruit of the Loom t-shirt in every video he does. But he's got some good stuff. And he talked about the same thing that I did, and that they have 24 commitments right now, and 24 or 23. And their average star rating is like a 3.4. So their star rating's kind of low. They're really just they have, if you look at star ratings and stuff and say, well, stars don't matter. Well, they do matter. They do matter, because that elevates a player's upside, what their upside potential is. Now, it depends on how well they are developed or not. At South Carolina, we haven't done a very good job developing talent at all the past 4 to 5 years. So they would be ranked probably about number 10 to 12 with all those commitments right now, if you look at it that way. Because like Clemson, who's behind them, their average star rating is way higher. So is Alabama, who's actually ranked right now in the 40s. They only got like 5 commitments right now, which is kind of crazy. But their star rating's much higher than what Tennessee's is. So they're going with quantity right now. Don't have quite as much quality, but I mean, we'll see. Can they develop these players the next couple of years? If they can, and the whole world may be in for some trouble. Even UNC, who's ranked way up there, their average star rating is a little bit higher than what Tennessee's is. And make no mistake about it, Tennessee and North Carolina on the recruiting trail is, I don't know what in the world these people are doing right now. I know what they're doing. They got that damn Jordan sponsorship up there. Exactly what's going on. I don't trust that damn place with a 10-foot pole. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now. I don't trust it with a damn 10-foot pole. I don't trust it with a 10. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and I don't trust them for shit. Okay, the basketball program is as dirty as a pair of my underwear briefs after a damn Taco Tuesday and like a 12-pack of Miller Lights. So there ain't nothing clean going on up there. I ain't saying they're cheating, but they're probably cheating. Okay, and Mac Brown, good head coach back in the day, but I'm sorry. I mean, you don't just rake in that many damn good players after 1 year of going 6-6. You just don't do it. There's something going on. But you know, and people look at it and say, "Well, let's just look at that. You're just sad and crying and upset, and you accuse everybody of cheating." Blah 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 blah. That's not true. I haven't accused Clemson of cheating in at least 3 to 4 weeks. And but I mean, it's obvious. Facts are facts. Look at the damn basketball program at UNC. They were making up classes, for God's sake, for 20 years. Everybody knows that, and those are facts. Of course, the NCAA does nothing to punish them, does absolutely jack shit to them. So you can't tell me that football program's not dirty as well. So, I mean, if I were a young man, I'd go to Tennessee in a heartbeat before I'd go up there to UNC, because I mean, I don't see that much of an upside to be in that conference. Because number one, you may make it to a conference championship game, but you're not going anywhere. Clemson's going to blow your doors off. They're going to blow the doors off of anybody that I see. I can't see anybody making a sustained run in that side of there. But we've gotten way off on a rabbit hole here talking about the ACC right now. So, yeah, they've passed us. And Gamecock fan can sit here and argue with me all they want to. There's a good chance that they'll beat us this year in Williams-Brice Stadium. I like to put that one in a toss-up category, but right now I'm not putting anything in a toss-up category of Will Muschamp. I'm putting it down as a loss until I'm proven otherwise. And then we have Missouri. Missouri is a team that it's just odd. They're kind of odd. They've won the SEC East Championship a couple of times the past 6 years or so, but they kind of backdoored their way in that 1 year because Carolina, we actually beat them, but we didn't do our job. We lost to Tennessee. That was a terrible Tennessee team we lost to, and we lost to Georgia, a team that Missouri took care of. So, you know, in essence, we beat them, but we didn't make the SEC championship game because of that. Next year, they went to the thing again. Even after they kind of backdoored in on Georgia, because Georgia had blown their doors off that year. But since then, they really hadn't had that much success. They brought in Barry Odom, who was a former player there. Had a lot of ties to the university. He's a defensive-minded guy. It didn't work out, so they dumped him out on his ass. Which is exactly, and you could be quite frank, Barry Odom had just as much success as Will Muschamp, or vice versa. They weren't afraid to dump him out on his ass, and they're not even a quote-unquote. I don't think that they're as crazy about football in Missouri, or as far for the University of Missouri, as we are for University of South Carolina Gamecocks. I think a lot of those people out there are much more passionate about pro sports. St. Louis, Kansas City, and that. But they weren't afraid to dump him out on his ass. They usher in Eli Drinkwitz. His only season as a head coach, he lost what? 1 game he lost? Hard to say. It's hard to say if he's really that good of a head coach, or if he kind of rode a bunch of Scott Satterfield's old players at App State to a really good season. I think it's a little bit of both. I think that team kind of ran itself, but I also think that you don't just win 11 games by accident. You just don't. I mean, he's an energetic guy. He's a young guy. I looked at his bio. He was born in 1983, so he's fairly young as far as head coaches go. You know, a lot of energy. His press conferences sound kind of hokey and goofy, but hey, he brings more to the table, in my opinion, than Will Muschamp does. And this year, people are penciling that down there. They're putting us at 5.5 wins over and under. We're going to talk about that in another video later. But they're putting that one down in the win category, along with the ECU and the Coastal and the Wofford. And, you know, I don't really know how you put that one in the win category. I mean, last year we went out there and they absolutely made us look stupid. Now, we, quote unquote, we gave them 2 touchdowns because Ryan Hlinsky just didn't know the damn rules of the game, got nervous, had some freshman jitters, and he decides to try to pass the fucking ball twice. You can't do. And that we gave them that. And we throw a horrible interception deep inside their territory when we're about to score. That, in my opinion, was giving them another touchdown. So we gave them 14 points. You know, that should have been a 6-point loss. It was a 20-point loss. So they blew our doors off, and they're returning some players from that team. They're returning a really good running back there. Defensively, they are losing some defensively, but let's face it, our offense can't score anyway. So I don't know whether that's going to be a real huge problem. So I would not pencil that down in the win category. I would probably put it as a toss-up. I don't think they have as much talent as Tennessee has, but we'll see. And I think that right now they're slightly ahead of us as a program, just because of the fact that they have a new coach, some new blood in there, and some excitement. I feel like there's zero excitement surrounding our program right now. You can make an argument for Luke Doty, the incoming freshman. You can make an argument for Marshawn Lloyd and Zach Pickens, who's going to be a redshirt freshman this year. Some really young players, but I mean, it seems like we're always damn young. We're always young everywhere. Seems like we're never, quote unquote, fully staffed like we should be. And I mean, there's reason to be excited about those kids. I mean, there's a big upside with them if they're developed properly. If they stay the course. Because I'm telling you, there's going to be a coaching change after this season. And then we have Kentucky. And last year, the Kentucky game, for me, it wasn't really the... we had lost 5 in a row to these guys. And last year, you know, I wanted to blow their doors off, and I wanted it to be convincing, and I wanted to embarrass them and shut them up. Because, believe it or not, and you wouldn't think this, you know, back in the day, Kentucky was always just a bunch of kind of old, slow, white country boys, and, you know, big old white boy chunking the ball around at quarterback. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Tim Couch. And, yeah, it was just kind of blah, blah, blah. I mean, look how I'm here lately. I mean, I got some thugs over there. There's some thugs. There's some gold teeth and dreadlocks going on the sidelines of Kentucky. There's some swagger over there, man. I ain't trying to offend nobody here, so if you want to get up on that soapbox and get your butt right down off of it. But there's a little bit of swagger in Kentucky, a little bit of shit talking, and they seem to think that they've overtaken us, and quite frankly, they have. I mean, they had more speed. I think they were better at the skill positions. I think for what they are, they recruited better, and their head coach, Mark Stoops, they're paying him exactly what they're paying Will Muschamp. Okay, guess what? He's won 2 bowl games in a row. He won 10 games a couple of years ago and was playing for an SEC East championship at home against Georgia in a game that they fell short in. But at the same time, how many SEC East championships has Will Muschamp played for? None. Exactly. None. So they have made the best of getting some of this talent. They've been really good about, what they're real good about is, as far as recruiting, and they're way ahead of us too by light years right now too, by the way. And last year they were like 2 spots or 3 spots behind us, and that was with the addition of Jordan Birch. If we hadn't gotten Birch and we'd gotten some other 3-star in his place to take that spot, we'd have been behind them probably. They're really good at going into Ohio, going way up into like the lower parts of Michigan and some of those other Midwestern states, where Ohio State recruits really, really heavily. And when Ohio State is really good and they're really elite, like they are right now, that's good for Kentucky, because, you know, Ohio State can only sign like 24, 25 kids a year, and there's still a lot of good football players up there. So that's a Division I program that can go in and pick up some of the leftovers from the Ohio State kids that they really just didn't quite make the cut. Just ones I just didn't quite want. They can pick them up. Kind of reminds me back in the 1980s, when the Horsemen, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and well, it was one time Ole Anderson, it was Lex Luger, it was Barry Windham. That was one of my favorite horsemen, by the way, too. And at one time it was even Sid Vicious. But at any rate, they would go and they pretty much had their pick of any woman at the end of the night that they wanted. After all the partying had died down, it was time to go back to the hotel rooms. So I saw other wrestlers, like the other guys down the card, would actually hang around for the Horsemen's leftovers, because there was still some pretty good looking women that they didn't get with that was available. So that's kind of like what Kentucky is. They're kind of the wrestlers coming in behind the Horsemen to pick up some still pretty decent looking broads. So to me, they've overtaken us as a program right now. Yeah, we beat their ass last year. I get that. But you also got to look at the fact that they had just awful quarterback play that game. Awful quarterback play. They hadn't quite figured out what to do with the loss of their quarterback, Wilson, who's not any good either, by the way. And then they put in Lynn Bowden, their best wide receiver, turns into their best quarterback. It's crazy. And he leads them to a bowl game and a win. A bunch of wins down the stretch. If we had played him, we'd have lost. So, you know, just things like that. I mean, they were just able to pick up the pieces, insert somebody new into that position, and didn't miss a beat, and quite frankly, got better. We're not doing that. So, in my mind, and recruiting, as far as head coaches go, they've overtaken us as a program. So that leaves Vandy. And, you know, I like Derek Mason. I think he's a good coach. I really do. I think he's also light years better than Will Musco. But he's too much of a defensive-minded guy in a place where he needs to be able to score. They need to be able to score and move the football effectively to be able to keep their defense on the sideline some. Kind of something. They have a lot of the problems that we did last year. I mean, they're not powerful enough, not deep enough to hang with some of these other SEC teams. So unfortunately, he probably will be out this year too. Even though, you know, expectations there are never really high. I like him. I think he's a good coach, and I think he'll land somewhere that's more suited for his style and do really well. I wish nothing but the best for Derek Mason. I think he's a good coach. So there you have it. Fall into the 6th place program in the SEC East. And you can debate me on that if you'd like to down in the comment section and tell me I'm an idiot, but it's just not. I mean, they're still these analysts and stuff that predict these schedules and talk about where we might get our wins at. And they're talking about even Texas A&M. Well, you have a chance there because it's in Williams-Brice. Okay, back in 2013, that was intimidating. That was intimidating to put down, and you could make a valid point when you talked about that. But that's not true anymore. It's not true anymore. It's not a feared place to play. It's not a difficult place to play anymore. Just ask Clemson, who came in there and bitch slapped us last November. Just ask Georgia, who came in there and absolutely put a foot up our keister the last time they played us there, when we were that was supposed to be our breakout game where we were going to challenge for the East that day. Yeah, right. 41-17, I think it was. Just ask Alabama, who bitch slapped us last time they came there. Just ask Kentucky, who's won 2 out of the last 3 times I've been there, how tough it is to play. Just ask them how tough. Ask Texas A&M how tough it is to play there, whom we've never beat. So the list goes on and on. And I could talk about this all day long. And believe you me, I don't like wallowing in misery. I would love to be able to come on here and make a video about how great we're doing crowing. I remember that one I made last year after the Georgia game. It was really about my last happy video. Oh yeah, just Appalachian State, how tough it is to play in Williams-Brice. But you know, I can't. So right now, I got to make do with what I got to make do with, and we're gonna get the must go movement going on. In fact, I might get a T-shirt made up. If I can get someone to design something cool for me. Some of the guys that work with me on the Rob Comrade and Kale Show podcast know some T-shirt makers. I want to get some Will Must Go T-shirts made on because I think he needs to freaking go. All right, guys, that's about all I got to say for today. I'm almost home. Hope you enjoyed that drive with me. And I'll see y'all later. If you enjoyed this video, please hit it with a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the Carolina Jackpot channel, make sure you subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel. Click your bell for the little notifications. We do college football videos here all the time. Well, not all the time, but we do at least a couple a week. And they're going to amp up really soon. And we're going to get a lot more of them cranked out there because that season is upon us. I'll see y'all later. I appreciate you. Love you guys. Peace. I'm out. Go Gamecocks. Spurs up to my toes up, baby. He must go.